Infinite power.
What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm doing it again. Welcome to the circus that is episode 14 of XP Share. What's up,
What up?
gamers? How's everyone doing today?
I'm chilling.
What's good?
Yeah.
Oh
Feels
my
good to
God.
be home.
Hope y'all enjoyed that filthy dubstep. Oh my God, my ears are loving it.
I sometimes wonder how people feel about like the dubstep, man. It is it's like beers, it's an acquired taste.
True,
It really
true.
is. You got the Christmas Mario shirt, bro? That's
Yeah.
fire.
Damn, bro.
Yeah,
Not even
dude.
3 days into December, and he's already got the Christmas fit. That's crazy.
It was either this episode or next episode. It was coming on at some point. Believe it or not, Jesse got this for me, my sister.
What?
Yeah, dude. Coming through clutch.
Bro, Thanksgiving's corpse ain't even fucking out of view yet.
True. We still
Now,
got
this crazy though,
leftovers,
'cause
bro.
we had people around here that had fucking lights up like before the midway point of November. Did you say you still got leftovers?
Yes.
Bro, I'll be honest. I know I'm sitting here talking about how that wasn't that long ago, but it was too long to be eating leftovers. I would throw those away. As someone that just suffered for literally an entire work week from food poisoning, I think you should probably be more careful.
Shit, that's not think about it, my dad, he makes turkey soup out of the whole carcass, so he's probably still finishing that too.
Dang. What's turkey soup?
He literally just like throws the whole carcass and everything in a fucking water bowl and just boils the fuck out of it.
Whoa. Damn.
Does Dad still do P90X as well? Because that like dude's in shape.
Nah, not anymore. He actually just had knee surgery, dude. He's out for 4 weeks.
He gonna need P90X afterwards.
Word, yeah, word.
Yeah, dude. Rest in pieces.
Dad used to low-key like embarrass me and Justin. Like we thought that we were fit until he would challenge us. We'd be like, "Shit, Dad, you got it, bro. Like, you're actually good. Aren't you like in your 40s, 50s? What the fuck?"
I make that joke way too much. But anyway, without further ado, coming back into it, we are welcoming back Fully Custom, continuing episode 3. She is coming back. Did a slew of interviews in September. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done quite a lot of interviews, so I'm really excited to share what I've learned because it's a lot. It's mind-blowing. And also, I
really?
need to quiz you guys. I think it's only fair. I've been asking all these questions. I think I need to ask the boys how they feel about everything.
I'm in. I'm always ready.
Let's do it. I got these dots on my face and I don't know what to do about it. This is weird.
It's just the God rays coming down, brother. It's fine.
Yeah.
Being blessed.
So let's start off with your consensus. I'm kind of curious.
What is
how
the
the
single
interview-
biggest thing you've learned, Charlotte?
So, the biggest thing I think I've learned is that there is actually no difference between having an online friendship and a friendship in real life. People see them as exactly the same, to the point where it's actually the mundaneness of friendship that actually makes them similar. So, like, you can sit and have a cup of tea with someone, but you can also sit on FaceTime with someone. And, like, that, and, like, that's... And when someone said it to me, and it kind of happened a couple of times, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is the answer. And yeah, it blew my mind. I had to sit down after a while.
This is it. We finally broke through. I can't say I'm horribly surprised. But I guess after COVID, like the whole kind of just general cloud, they just kind of merged, and it's like, I don't care if we see each other as long as we're still talking, as long as we're still friends, right?
Sure. And now that I think about it, I mean, that makes a lot of sense because there are people within the gamer community who I tolerate more than others. Just like in real life,
Like
there
me.
are people that I no, you're fine. I love you. You're okay. Yeah, but I mean, I guess that makes sense though. I mean, people, it doesn't matter it's in person or remote via the internet. Like their personalities don't necessarily change. So either you're like you're chill or maybe you're not so chill. I mean,
Mm.
I guess yeah, I guess that totally makes sense to me. It adds up. Adds up in my book.
I guess the second biggest thing that I found out, which I think I would love to get your guys' opinion on, especially, is I actually spoke to a lot of guys during my interview. Actually, I've only spoken to one female so far, which is very it's a different perspective.
Skewed.
And one thing I found out is that a lot of the men had actually not had any sort of like altercations online. Where when I'd done the survey and a lot of the women had spoke to me, a lot of them had seemed to have more like having to deal with arguments or having to like be referee essentially. Where when I spoke to some of the guys on the interview, they were like, "I've never had this problem." So I don't know whether that's like a gender thing. I don't know if it's just that particular set of people. So I'd love your guys' opinion on that.
Now, when you say like altercations, I'm gonna need a little bit more information because I get into altercations every day of my life on the internet. I get into them in video games, on Twitter. I need to know, like, are we talking about like people that we met that we're trying to socialize with, or is this just like with strangers on the internet? Because I would have a very different experience with today's internet than what you've heard. And also, I would like to toss in that I still would not be surprised if women have to go through more of that on the internet than men do, simply because women are subjected to, I think, higher standards than a lot of men are, especially in like online gaming spaces. I have a lot of friends that are women that game, and it happens a lot in like Valorant, Overwatch, all those kinds of games where you'll get into a lobby and you can get into 10 lobbies with all dudes and they will pretty much be all the same, and then you get one lobby with a woman in it and suddenly everyone just goes absolutely wild, and they're either like
Are you
harassing
hot?
them or yeah, they're either harassing them or they've turned it into this thing where it's like suddenly everyone has to bow down to the woman and it just gets really weird because I don't know, I feel like gamers that game a whole lot don't really know how to talk to women. But anyway, to bring it back,
True.
what is the definition of altercation here?
The Sips
So
comes
when
out.
I asked them, it was actually just anything. I was like, "Have you ever had like a poor interaction with someone?" And as I say, literally, I'm not kidding you. Nobody said yes, apart from the only woman I spoke to. They were like, "I've never had any bad interactions online," and I'm like, "What? Have we been on different internets? Maybe is this it? Maybe there's a different side of the internet I've never been on before."
Yeah.
Think it,
Well, and
I think
sorry,
it
go ahead, Justin.
also maybe comes from the fact of it's more I guess I don't know. I don't want to like I don't want to be like weird and say that men are the only ones that go like, oh, it's a argument I had a week ago. I don't care about it anymore kind of thing. But like I don't think they would put as much like if they had a fight with somebody, they'd be like, "Yeah, fuck that guy. I don't even what fight? I don't even know that guy anymore," kind of thing.
Mm.
Whereas I guess the like without sounding like extremely sexist here, like the female side would be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that bitch. Fuck her," or,
Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
know, the funny thing is, okay, so we've had this conversation before. I'm like kind of involved with the Call of Duty community, and I know a few people who were pros, and my sister Lou is dating a former pro, and I have conversations with her all the time about the different girls within the Call of Duty community that she meets and how she recognizes that some of them are genuine while others are fake and they're clout chasers. And we like just recently had to block someone who was, cool in your face when they're hanging out with you, but like talking shit about you behind your back. And so when she found
Name and
out about
shame.
it, yeah,
What's name and shame and what's their name?
oh no.
Call out.
No,
Oh
that's
no,
it.
but yeah, I mean, when I heard about it, she called me and she said, "Hey, just block her from your Discord, just get it out of there." So I did that, and I just thought about it, like this isn't really the type of the type of thing that you deal with in like as a guy. Like I'm not worried about you just gotta talk shit about my head, about behind my back. Like that's not really a thing for me. But girls do have their like internal squabbles, and everyone and maybe this is different for other gaming communities. I don't know, but at least within the Call of Duty community, there's a lot of using others for leverage that's kind of happening to kind of climb the ranks. And yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's just unfortunate that has to be a thing.
I think that kind
Why
of.
can't we all get along? That's what I think.
I think that now that you mention that, I think that kind of goes in hand with this whole weird content creation bubble that everybody's in.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to be successful, but they don't want to bring anybody else up. They'd rather step on
sure.
their fucking head to get it leap.
And correct
Yeah,
me if I'm
dude.
wrong. I'm pretty sure when we talked, our first episode with Fully Custom, we actually talked about the clout chasers in the community and how this
Yeah, we
happened.
did.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's just full circle. The experience that happened recently is full circle for what we discussed previously.
it's wild. I mean, it's then that begs the question: is like if we weren't in this COVID content creation bubble, would people fucking do that in real life? Would they have the nuts? Would they have the balls? Or would they just, suck it up and be like, hey, girl, hey?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I feel like that kind of shit's been happening since the dawn of time, though. Like we always got those circles, and it ain't just women that do it either. I know
Oh,
that there was a
absolutely.
oh
there was a
yeah,
comment made that was like, men don't do that. Men, I know what you mean. Like your circle, I get that. Like the people around you don't do that. I have known, unfortunately, some men that have done that way worse than any women I've ever met. Um, and as far as clout chasers are concerned, especially in the Twitch community, man, I have never been in a community of people quite like the content creator community where people will just get close to you just to step on your head and literally just extract like 2 or 3 viewers from your community to pull over to
Yeah.
their stream.
yeah,
It's
bro.
insane. I just had to cut
Yeah.
someone off from my community that I thought I was really good friends with that we collabed, we did a bunch of different shit. And like I started posting about this Palestine stuff on Twitter, and I think that was part of it. But literally, just they came in, and then they at one point they were like, "Hey, I have this artist that does a lot of this work with me. You should commission him, get some work done from him." And I was like, "I'm good, thanks." And then they were gone.
He just lost it.
Well, they were gone, and then it was like I stopped showing up in their chats because we would stream at about the same time, and that was it. It was like it's so one-sided, and it's like that's not a friendship. That's clout chasing.
Yeah.
That is you coming into my community to do the bare minimum, and like for what? For like 2 viewers out of my 5 CCV? What the fuck is wrong with you, you rotten bitch?
Yeah.
What the fuck? This community is awful, bro. And it's not just that person. There are so many people in this community online that will do that. And again, it's probably not. It's definitely not just like Twitch and YouTube and whatever these places are. But it's so exacerbated here that it's hard to overlook. Like there are so many people that seem genuine that are literally just here to take pennies out of your pockets and walk away like you never existed. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's a game of inches and they're treating it like it's a game of fucking miles. It blows my mind.
It is really eye opening. I mean, I have a handful of people I don't even talk to anymore, basically because of that or some kind of like, stupid altercation. Like,
Yep.
especially, I'm not gonna like name drop or anything, but There's a group of gamers I play with, um, mostly MMO kind of stuff. I love playing with them. They're always like a full group of people, but they're not always like the nicest people. Like they're hella
Yeah.
rude, hella blunt, whatever. And some people just don't appreciate that, don't like that. So it's like I enjoy playing with this group of gamers, but one of my friends fucking hates their guts, so therefore he doesn't play with them. So therefore I have to go play with him
Yeah.
solo
Oh, that's
when I
the
want to
worst.
play. Yeah, it's just like there's always what I noticed me personally, and I don't know, maybe you guys could chime in with it too, is that's exact situation there is like there's this one group of gamers that I like playing with for a certain game type, but then there's like three or four one singular friends that are like, yeah, fuck that group, I don't like them, I'm gonna go play over here. And then I'm like, I'm feeling like the asshole because I'm not playing with solo Andy over here and I'm playing with the group that he fucking hates. And it's like, is that my problem or is that his problem,
And
kind of
Solo
thing?
Andy making you feel bad for not wanting to play with him
Yeah,
before.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been
yeah.
pretty
That's the thing.
I've been pretty what's the word? I've been pretty fortunate as far as that's concerned. I mean, back in the day, I used to run into that all, quite a lot, but I keep my circle like I don't know. I stick to the things that I want to do, and usually the people that tag along are the ones that will stick around. I don't know if it's my approach or if it's just that I've been very very blessed to have good friends, like the friends that are actually friends in the last decade or so. But um, I haven't had to deal with that too much. But I think part of it is kind of bringing this full circle to this idea of altercations online. Um, I, as a person, am someone that is very like there's a certain level of duality inside of me. Um, I am the biggest bullshitter of all time, but I am also the person that has the best bullshitometer of all time. It's like if you can dish it the best, you can see it the best. It takes one to know one. So when I see someone bullshitting me or, treating me in a terrible way or treating others in a terrible way for that matter, like my friends or my, acquaintances, whatever, or just good people. Or if someone's just being an asshole, I will be the first person to step up and be like, you know what? That's fucked up. That's fucked up, and I'm gonna say something about it because if I see that, I literally can't control myself. I return the vibe that is given to me. So it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
someone brings that energy, it's like, I'm gonna get right in your face. That's just how
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when it comes down to like petty shit like that, I tend to be pretty good at breaking it down and kind of like ejecting those people before it becomes a problem. And sometimes it makes me seem like an asshole, but I think it really does protect the kind of energy of the group around me, and it kind of stops a lot of that stuff from happening. But it does lead to a lot of those, those altercations between people that I don't really know quite well. It leads to me making some friends and then 3 days later being like, this person fucking sucks because
Yeah.
you immediately see through their facade after that first day.
Yeah.
And so I've had people that are like, why do you lose so many friends? I'm like, well, they were never my friends to begin with. You got to pass there's a
Yeah.
period you got to get through. It's, and it's, I don't know. I have a lot of those, but I think that might just be because that's how I'm built. Maybe my experience isn't able to be extrapolated. I don't know if you guys like share in any of that, but
Everybody starts out as an acquaintance.
yeah, true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, there even recently within I'd say this year, I had experiences with friends from different communities trying to connect with people from other communities, whether it's Sid by Jello or J Dogging, and some people are great and I love them to death. And like Kefka, awesome. Love that guy. Some people that I've met they probably had one too many that night and they were just a little bit over the top, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Now, am I going to go out of my way to make whoever introduced me to that person, am I going to go out of my way to make their life difficult because they're hanging out with them? Absolutely fucking not. If that's your friend, you guys have the thing that you guys connect with, by all means, have fun. However, I'm going to respectfully stay out of the way when you two or you three or your group is doing that thing. I'm
Yep.
not gonna be the one to try to make you feel bad because you're friends. No, it's not my place. Okay, you attempted to bring multiple people from different communities together, which is, I think personally, is a good thing. You should try to bring communities together if you can. Now, not everyone's gonna get along, and it is what it is. That's just the way of life. Move on. Stop being a bitch about it. Just accept some people you're gonna like, some people you won't. That's just life. And that is, again, going back to Custom's point, it's like that's the connection between real life and the I guess the internet life, right? Like the socializing, it it kind of doesn't change anymore, at least, especially after COVID, and everyone's used to communicating remotely. So yeah,
Tater's like, don't talk to me, don't talk about me like that.
no,
Dude, that's a brilliant point though, Juice, because so for the longest time, I mentioned earlier that I've always kind of had like a more tight knit community, like a circle. Um, and I'm hesitant to let people into those circles because it's curated, it's well made. And for a while, because of that, but when you kind of start that and you fall victim to some of the shit in the beginning of that, if you're not kind of grown, and I wasn't grown for a while, you kind of get this jealousy because you've got fewer friends. You've got better friends, but fewer friends. And when those friends go off to do their thing with other people, and then you're left there with fucking nobody, and you're like, so they're out here doing this shit with awful people, and I'm just sitting here. There's this jealousy that like takes root in your brain, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then for a while, like I was the guy that was like mad about that. I'd never say anything about it. You never step up, but I'd be like, you know what? I see it. You're going to spend time with those people. I will just go and levitate to other people. And if I'm still here when you get back, cool. If not, that's your fault. But I think there's something in that as far as like independence is concerned and kind of like effort required by both parties to be together. But as you kind of like get deeper into that and you grow up a little bit, you realize it's like, that's their business. Why do you give a shit? Like
exactly.
they're not responsible for you and how you spend your time. And if you're sitting here alone without them, like you may not like those people, but who are you to tell them no? Like who are you to make a judgment call over your friendship, something that otherwise you care a lot about because
Yeah.
they're out, fucking around with some people that you don't like. Who cares? Like if those people are like a detriment to them, if you think they're a bad influence, they're fucking up their life, totally separate, right? It's like a totally different thing. But if it's just someone you just don't like at some point you'd realize you got to grow up a little bit,
Yeah, man. Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little teeny bit.
100%.
I mean, that's one of the things I like. I do appreciate. I do have a couple people who will take that step and be like, yeah, they'll have a huge fucking blow up. They'll have a huge fucking argument one night. Fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Blah, blah, blah. And then next day they're just like, you know what? Fuck it, man. What's good? Sorry, dude. I didn't mean that kind of thing. The next day later, and it's like, yeah, like it's the whole thing around like life's too short. Conflict doesn't always have to be there unless
Yeah.
again somebody's the absolute piece of shit.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just like.
I think that's a part of maturity too, is kind of recognizing that just because you have a fight, like that doesn't mean that other person's shitty. I mean, there's a lot that goes into those things, right? Like someone might be having a bad day and then they freak out on you for something stupid. Or, maybe they're just hangry a little bit. I mean, there's a million different little things that go into that. And I think it's the mark of a matured person to look at a fight like that and think about fixing it as opposed to walking away from it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a testament to what was there and how much you've grown as a person. But if you get into one major fight with someone and then they're like they hold a fucking grudge and you don't they don't want anything to do with you, I think they're kind of doing you a favor too. It's like, fuck that guy. If they can't get over this shit, I don't want to be here anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in that case, it's just kind of like if if they're not willing to kind of like take that extra step and kind of like amend something that probably was a shitty argument in the first place, it's like I'm gonna go hang out with the guy who doesn't care that you guys just had an argument, not the one that holds the fucking grudge, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's true.
true. Okay, Charlotte, what else have you learned?
Um.
Unless you have some input on
Well.
what we've said, of course.
Oh no, I'm just listening. I love listening. It's my favorite thing. I'm taking it all in. As I say, like after every interview, like I have to just kind of like sit with myself, just in pure silence for a little bit, just like to take it all in and like
Mhm.
because it's all good stuff. Um, I think the next sort of like interesting point that a lot of people brought up was the idea of which I learned a new word. Is pseudonymity. For anybody, so like I think we sort of talking a little bit about like anonymous being anonymous online and stuff before in our other episodes, but a lot of people brought it up about like sometimes being able to recognize someone via their avatar or their username can sometimes be just as inviting as knowing their actual real name. Sometimes someone said that it were actually off-putting when they found someone's real name out, like it kind of freaked them out a bit because they already knew them as that person, so it kind of just like, yeah. They said that when they met in real life, they all spoke to each other with their usernames. They didn't like using their real names.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
one of my best friends, his name is Nate, and he's a mod in my chat, and I met him on Twitch and called him Fox for the longest time. And to this day, I still flip flop. And when we go on like little road trips or vacations, because every like once a year we'll usually take a trip down to visit our third buddy. And luckily, he like me has used his like nickname in real life as his nickname online, so there's like no, there's no issue there. But with him, we're always flip flopping. Like, what do we call him? And then it feels so weird. It feels off. I don't know.
I mean that's kind of like the next step, right? Like you know a person by their gamer tag, and they're like, you know what? Just call me by my real name, dude. We're fucking friends, you know.
And I
Something
think it
that
needs to
was
be a
like
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's something that was really like strange, and this came in my research, and then people had sort of like confirmed it when they were talking to me. Is a lot of people will talk about more in-depth things, online with each other rather than saying like the basic things. So people were like, I tell people my life story, people know where I work, how I feel about my work, things like that, but they don't know my real name. Where like in real life it would be the other way around, like you wouldn't have like a real in-depth conversation with someone if you didn't know their name because it'd be just a bit odd.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting situation about being online, is that you can kind of have all those in-depth conversations and you don't need to know the basic information because it kind of don't matter at that point.
Yeah. Where do you think that phenomenon comes from? Like, what do you think it's sourced from?
So there is an actual theory, and I've forgotten the name of it, where like basically like an onion. That's how a lot of like academics describe it, and they say that getting to know somebody is like like opening an onion. I'm thinking Shrek every time I think of this. About him peeling the onion. That's all
Himalayas.
I can think about. But it's a proper like thing, and as I say, but people said that when it comes to like online things, when they've done all these studies, people can kind of forego all that sort of like boring bit. And I think it's just the concept of, as you say, it's that anonymity. People don't know who you are straight away. It's that pseudonymity. You can tell them as much or as little as you like, and
Yeah.
people kind of omit what they don't want to tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I think it
exactly.
makes it easier to share the sort of easier things, which people might think the easier things are the kind of big parts of their life, because nobody's really going to judge them on that. Where like if you found out, I don't know, they had blue feet, you might judge them more.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I almost feel like as the internet gets older, we are moving further and further away in some ways from anonymity. I think that some people have kind of just given it up. I mean, 15 years ago, I never would have thought of using my real name in my username. And here we are. There are a lot of people that take on the whole content creation game with their full actual name as like a personality.
Yeah.
And yet I've known a bunch of people that have come to do that, like even if it's just as simple as like using their name on Twitter, um, that will still move forward to kind of share more information about their life. And I think that part of that is probably just because there's still a layer of anonymity there, you know, like there's a million people in the world that have my name, whatever. Um, but they don't know me. I don't interact with them every day. I don't have to be in the same physical space. I'm not forced to be around them. So I think that's probably part of it. But I also almost feel like it's almost just ingrained itself in the experience that is the internet. And maybe that's kind of crazy, but
Mm.
I feel like we've, you know, it's become the norm for so long that you can kind of be more open with people. And maybe it started off as being this anonymous thing, but it's almost just kind of, I don't even like it's almost ascended past that, like transcended into just part of the internet experience. Because I've met some people that have had way too much information about themselves out there that will just immediately drop into giving me their life story. And it drives me wild. But it's just it's really interesting to me because it's not kind of where I thought we would head, but here we are.
Well, and that's kind of interesting too, when it comes to anonymity and people like just splurging about their lives. Is like you would see that happen a whole lot less on one-on-one interactions. I guarantee it. But since people are online, and they're again they're keen to just kind of like, oh, this guy doesn't really know me, I'm just gonna splurge whatever, and 90% of the time it's usually like a, kind of like a relatable thing. One person
Yeah.
talks about their experience and another dude talks about their experience, so it's like, would you see that same interaction in a in-person context?
Yeah, I don't know. In and out. I think another part of it is I think social media has done a lot of damage to our brains. I was
Yeah.
just reading an article the other day that I think, and take this with a grain of salt. I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't vouch any sources, but I read that when Facebook was being made by Facebook or Meta now, whatever you want to call them, they
Zuckerberg.
specifically made their platform to prey upon the psychological processes of younger people. Their algorithms and the way that their website was made was specifically to take advantage of the way that, you know, biology works in young people. It was targeting those processes. And you know, nowadays we're incentivized to share all of our thoughts about anything and everything on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and it's just kind of become the norm to just shoot these things out into the ether to not just one person but to everybody. And if you're constantly sharing all of these details, I mean, some people even share little shit. Like I've known people in the past that'll just like share what they're having for dinner just because they feel like it.
Yeah.
Out to, you know,
Good
Instagram's
point,
the
dude.
easy answer for that because you just take pictures and post them. But you know, people will share all of these things. I'm guilty of it. I share my thoughts on way too much on Twitter. And that's by choice. But I think when you're incentivized and you're so driven, and maybe even your brain has kind of been morphed into this state where it just feels good to shoot your thoughts off into the ether like that. I think it probably becomes a lot easier to just share these things with random people because I mean, first of all, you're conditioned to it, but secondly, it takes 2 clicks to get to your Twitter to find half of it anyway.
Yeah. It, it's mind-boggling. It's like, again, it just comes down to the, like, I don't I was gonna say the realization, but I guess just a normal question of, would you have this same exact interaction in person? And the answer 90% of the time is probably no.
Very true.
Yeah,
A
I've
lot of
kind of
people do. A lot of
noticed
people don't have
that.
the balls to say it in person.
Yeah, true. But even then though, like, so I've got this weird experience I've been going through over the last year or two where I've kind of reconnected with a good buddy of mine that I've known since I was 3 years old. And he's a little bit older than me, whatever. But when I got into like high school, we started kind of falling out, or I fell out with that group. And then I went to college and I did a lot of changing and made a bunch of different friends. And then as I graduated college and I went into the working world and I kind of fell away from all those college buddies, he and I have kind of reconnected a little bit. And the experiences that I have with people online are very, very different from these experiences that I'm having with this friend of mine in real life. You know, even when we're just sitting in the same room, hanging out, playing video games, watching something, it's almost like a totally different thing to existing in an online space. And it's kind of been something that I've thought about. And it's not anything like crazy different either. It's kind of like the cadence of how you talk. It's how silence sits in a room. It's the way in which you interact and the things that you talk about are just kind of different.
Yeah.
And you know, that could just come down to that he is a different person than the people I hang out with online. But it's something that's been floating around in my head for sure, and that I think is very prescient to what you guys were mentioning.
That makes total sense. It is definitely a different dynamic when it comes to actually hanging out with somebody in person. What like we when we talked about in the beginning about um there's basically no difference, like Charlotte said, coming to the conclusion of it's not much different having online versus in person. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree 100%, but that doesn't mean like I don't want to go to a party with a bunch of my friends and have a bunch of beers, and get shit faced, but it's definitely, I would say, less of a desire nowadays.
I mean, there's a certain chill that you can get just sitting back playing some fucking video games on Discord, bro. I mean, you can have a
Hmm.
little party. I mean, listen, I got a little group of friends that I will sit back with and we will play video games. I mean, we've been playing Apex recently. There's a bunch of different shit, and you just sit back and like we take edibles. We take an edible when we sit down to play, and we just get fucked up in our own little way. We'll order dinner, each get something good, sit back, play some video games, chill. I mean, it does definitely lack this sort of energy, which is something that I do kind of want to hit on a little bit down the road. It lacks a sort of. It almost feels like a biological process, and I'll explain that. But it's different, but it's good, is what I'm trying to say. Um, One thing that always has kind of it's been on my mind when it comes to online experiences versus in-person experiences, and to kind of like sidetrack a little bit, um I have noticed in my experience, we've talked a lot about COVID and the lockdowns and stuff in these episodes, and about, kind of coming out of the COVID funk and getting back out into the world. And one thing that I have noticed, as much as I am a proponent of online friendships, I mean 90% of my closest friendships in the entire world throughout my entire life have been online. They've been with people in online communities. But one thing that I have noticed in trying to experiment with, my life outside of online circles is that you almost I almost feel better physically walking away from a social experience with someone in person than I do having one online.
Oh, it's
And
definitely a
I
lot more impactful, no doubt.
yeah, it almost feels like I don't know. It does for lack of a better word, it does feel more impactful, right? It feels almost like more important, which is kind of like a weird thing to say, because we've all kind of sat here and
Cool.
agreed that online friendships and online interactions kind of carry a very similar weight. But in my experience, I've kind of noticed that as much importance as I place on those interactions online, I can't I can't say that an interaction with someone in real life is on the same level, right? It's like it reaches something higher that is not within my control. Is that something you guys have like
Oof.
felt or experienced?
Yeah. That's a good point, actually, and I'm kind of feeling like I need to retract my statement in a bit. Two things. Number one, sushi near you, which by the way, that's an amazing name, says in person can affect your real life bubble, whereas online is limited.
Yeah.
It's kind of true, actually. I mean, I can't say I disagree with that. Um, the other thing is, yeah, whenever I've had a negative experience with someone online, it's as simple as, oh, I'll just deafen this fucker,
Yeah.
or I'll ban him. I'll get him out of the way.
Yeah.
Whereas in person, you kind of have to make a decision. Do I walk away? Do I punch them? Like what? Like how? Like what do I do to like make my statement known?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I would say in person for sure can have a larger impact. Depending on what someone is so willing and brave to say to
Yeah.
you. Yeah, makes sense to me. And I guess this can also, I guess, adding another factor to this is what some people call Twitter fingers. You're so willing to like say all these risque things because there's no repercussions due to this. You know, the distance is the internet. It's not mere feet. It's not meters.
Yeah.
It's this online connection, right? Um, yeah, it plays a part. It plays a part. Yeah, when you think about it, it does make sense.
Yeah, dude.
It makes
I
sense,
feel
yeah.
like there is just this layer of biology that you can't break
It's,
through.
it's the touch
Like,
grass effect.
yeah, exactly. Right? It's crazy. And
It's good.
it's just so weird. And you don't even have to get complicated with it. It's literally the difference of hanging out with some buddies in real life versus on Discord. Where when you walk away from it, when you walk away on Discord, at least for me, I'm like, okay, night well spent. Fuck it. I don't feel much different. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, what's the
yeah.
next thing? But you hang out with someone in real life and you walk away from it, and it almost just feels like fulfilling.
Mhm.
And it feels like it I don't know, man. It's some biological shit. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a different experience. And at first I kind of hated it because as someone whose friends are mostly online, I'm like that feels unfair. If maybe I'm, imagining things, I wanted it to be not real. But as I
Mm,
continue on and I get older, as much of a proponent of online friendships as I am and of the internet and technology, I am constantly seeing and proving to myself how important it is to have a circle in the physical world, you know?
100%.
Mm.
And
We
it's
can
just
take this back.
yeah.
We could take this back to like infancy for a second, right?
Yeah.
Studies have proven, and custom, and you're very intelligent, so let me know if I'm wrong. Studies have proven, at least from what I've seen, that a child, like a baby, needs physical interaction with their mother,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have a mother standing behind a mirror or wall looking at the baby going like this, that's great. But it's more effective for you to be able to hold the baby and physically touch it and let it know you are
Yeah.
loved, right? So it's like it's basically saying that yes, that having that being physically in front of someone is more impactful than it is than if you are remotely from someone. But of course, everyone's different, so the interactions can change. It's yeah. I can totally understand how physical interaction is more impactful.
Yeah.
But
And it
at the
sounds
same
so
time,
obvious, doesn't it? Like
it does seem obvious. You're right. It does seem obvious.
it
But
seems
then but
so
then
obvious, but
you
people
always end
overlook
up
it.
leaning back on like, the close friends that you've made online. Because
Yeah.
some people, there are people in the Discord community that I take a bullet for, that I
Yep.
met first on a video game. Like Apex, Randon, those guys, I'd go to the end of the world to keep to protect those guys if I had to.
Yep.
But I met them online. I didn't meet them in person, right?
Exactly.
But again, there are some others who care less about, who I also met online. So
Yeah.
it's the tangled web we weave, man.
Yeah, and it's almost so like it almost feels defeating to really delve into it because like on one hand, I think we've all got those experiences in relationships online that that, like you said, we'd take a bullet for. You know, there are people that you would really go to bat for, maybe more than you would for most people in your everyday life, in, you know, with anyone you know physically in your world around you. But to also kind of come to terms with this idea that a lot of people forget or that they don't recognize because it's easy to push it away and act like it doesn't exist. You know, your experiences, it almost feels like it's just less fulfilling on some level. It almost feels insulting, you know. It's complicated and it's hard and it's dirty and messy, but there's a lot to it that people don't really take in. And I think it probably has a lot to do with why some people that spend all their time online are kind of more depressed than other people. And why some people think that they have a great friend circle, but they walk away and they still feel a little lonely every day.
Sure.
And it's complicated. There's a lot to it, which is why I think that this kind of studying that you're doing, Charlotte, is super important, because being able to recognize those things and get to the bottom of it and maybe someday eventually have a definitive answer is very important. Because right now, you know, we're in the Wild West. People are doing whatever the fuck they want. And we're moving more inward, more away from people every single day, not just individually, but as a society. It's where the zeitgeist is moving. And it's I think if we could sit down and we could just definitively tell people, like, you're fucking your shit up doing this, we need a better way. Or maybe even, you know, someone could sit down and come up with some way to bridge those two things, to be able to create those experiences with people while also, you know, tricking or convincing your body that you're having a similar experience. I think VR is a great step in that direction. I know we've talked about VR a little bit. But
I,
I think it's incredibly important.
yeah, it's just it's that there's something about that physical interaction that's either slightly or exponentially more fulfilling than online. But it's like, so to some people, again, it's minuscule. There is no difference. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
they don't see a difference. Friends are friends, online or not. It's, you just hang out with each other.
Yeah. Makes me wish I could just take all my friends and put them in like a fucking commune somewhere and we could all just live. It pisses me off because it's like, why can I have such good friends on the internet and then not have the ability
Touch.
to meet with them in the way that is the most, you
And then
know,
meet all
fulfilling
these
for everybody.
shitty people IRL.
Yeah, this
Mhm,
I gotta go
mhm.
out and talk to fucking Billy Bob Joe and fucking hate my life, count down the hours till I gotta come home from work. Like, it sucks.
Um, let's see.
Yeah.
So we have about, I'd say 15, 20 minutes. Should we get into a roundtable of a couple of these questions? I think we kind of went through this first one already. Um, Charlotte, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I think to be fair, you guys have covered quite a fair bit of ground of what the questions were, just in your own special way, and I love that. Um, I can think of a really important question on this list if you guys are happy to answer it. Is there a particularly close online friendship that you guys have got, and how that's impacted your life? I think that's like a really cool story that I love getting from
Oh
people.
yeah, definitely, absolutely. So, if you guys don't mind me starting,
Yeah, go for it.
so earlier I mentioned my sister Lou, who isn't by blood my sister, but I met her playing Black Ops 3 Call of Duty. Oh, you know, this is what, 2015 or so, and I don't know how or why, but for some reason we just like became hella cool. And you know, she and I would play duos a lot of like game battles, competitive matches. RIP to game battles,
Rest in
shutting
peace,
down
game
soon.
battles, by the way.
Yeah. Definitely gave us a lot of pleasure and pain in life, but you know, it's still game battles is legendary. And she and I have become extremely close over the years. You know, never once did we ever flirt or introduce any sort of anything outside of we are friends who've met through gaming. And you know, now today, the funny thing is, she asked me last week, she said, when I get married, I want you to be my maid of honor. And again, I've met her in person now, but I met her playing Call of Duty. It wasn't like we went to school together or anything like that. She's been an online friend from the beginning, and just a week or two ago, she asked me to be her maid of honor whenever she gets married, because her and her boyfriend now have been together for almost 5-6 years, and I think they're kind of having a discussion now. So it's so weird because again, she has IRL friends who she loves and went to college with and are very close with, been to their weddings, seen their kids grow, yet she's asking me to be her maid of honor, when she gets married. And like that kind of it made me pretty emotional. It's like, damn, bro, like to go from playing Call of Duty to now like watching you like walk down the aisle. It's kind of wild, but
Yep.
it's a thing, it does happen, and I can't help but just feel humbled to be in such a situation. So, not to mention Apex and Brandon, like the four of us have in multiple occasions hung out, and whether it's when we were in Atlanta and we were in LA at different Call of Duty tournaments, which is kind of what kind of brought us together in the first place. But yeah, it's just a humbling situation to be able to say that I have that kind of connection that started in an online interaction.
Mhm.
Um, it's possible, man. It's people get married
Yeah,
from meeting online, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, the impact is nuts, man. It
it
really
is,
is.
dude. It absolutely is. And I too, I've had friends that I've known for decades online that I've been to their weddings. Just not long ago, I went on a road trip with a friend of mine that I met online, Fox, I was talking about earlier. He and I go on road trips all the time. He lives like 4 hours outside of where I live. I get benefits from my work that give us like cheap hotels, free food. It's great. We go all over the place. And then we've got a third buddy down in Texas we go visit. And for the last couple of years, we'll carve out a week and a half to just kind of to hang out, go somewhere, do some shit, whatever. Um, but just recently we had a trip where we went down to Texas for a little bit and then we shot all the way up to North Dakota to go to a wedding of a friend that we made online. And we got to go and be a part of the whole ceremony and to be there, and it was phenomenal. It was great. It really was something really special to us. And it's like I've talked a lot about this idea of like this difference between online friendships and not, but I think it's really important to hammer home that like there is such a benefit to being able to make friends all over the world in
Yeah,
the society we live in right now with the internet and
yeah,
everything else. I mean, there are people that I'm friends with that I never ever ever would have met without the internet, and
yeah,
that have changed my life in ways that are so palpable that I can't even imagine where I'd be if I didn't have them. And it is incredibly important to kind of nail that down because I mean that that might just outweigh all the negatives. I mean, maybe, not maybe, they are worth it. And it's an important thing. It absolutely is, cuz I feel like we all have those online friends now that are, you met online, and well, I can't say we all, maybe everyone here. But it's a special thing. It definitely is.
Yeah, no, I would definitely have an extremely hard time just naming one person online who has made some sort of impact with my life now. I mean, I got I got Kefka, Kyle, Dogma, uh, just a whole slew of people who
X.
I've I've met online. Well, Steven, I know IRL, so
Oh
uh,
shit, you're right.
yeah, met that boy in
You're so right.
college.
You're so right. I
uh,
forgot about that.
um, but yeah, I can't just can't nail down one person because everybody I've met online, again, it goes starting with the anonymity and just splurging stuff with people, and you just find the right people that you vibe with. Shit, I met Kefka through God, at least like almost 2 3 different people. I went to when I was in freshman year, to this day, I still don't know what teacher signed me up for this. But somebody signed me up to go to like a tech forum with a bunch of kids over in like some random place in, San Diego. It's just like a whole thing. They had like hacker conferences, just a bunch of tech stuff. And I met a kid in there. We were like, yo, let's start a gaming community. His name was Lars. I met another kid named Cameron who joined us. He was more of a developer guy. Cameron met this girl named Belle. Belle knew Kefka, and then it's just this whole chain reaction of people. Again, these people I met in person have led to this amazing online relationship with these other people. So it's just like there's a connection somewhere, and it's just it's shit that I wouldn't change for the entire world.
Yeah, I think looking at the conversation we had earlier about how it is different between these relationships online versus offline, I think that looking at it in a charitable way, in a positive way, which is the way that I think I would choose to, given my experiences so far. I think that it really is a testament to the ability to make friends online, that despite it maybe not being as maybe biologically fulfilling or just fulfilling as in general in some ways, that they are still so important to some people.
Yeah.
I think it really does say something that you can meet these people across an internet connection and forge relationships that last lifetimes. Even in the face of this idea that you don't get to be there in person, you don't get to benefit from that kind of boost. There's something special about it that kind of pushes through that. And I think that there's something to that, because you can't deny that there's something special about it.
Yeah. What I love is being able to tell one of my online friends, I love you, and mean it. Right? Like Sushi mentioned having a friend for 15 years online. It's like when you're friends with someone for that long, doesn't matter whether you met them in person or online, you have to love that person. You can't be friends for 15 years and not genuinely say, hey, man, love you, man. And so being able to say to the people I met online, again, Lou, Apex friend, and those guys, I'll call them on the phone. Hey, just a reminder, man. Love you, bro. Just so you don't forget.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes we need to hear that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like being able to say that and mean it to someone who you met online is that's special.
It is.
It's special, man. I appreciate the technology age, because our parents don't really understand that, and I kind of feel bad for them for that reason.
Yep.
It's like, damn.
Yeah, dude.
If only you knew. If only you knew.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how you would ever limit yourself like that. I mean, there's billions of people out there that you will never meet, you'll never have a chance of meeting, and that you're limiting your pool. I mean, there are people out there that would make literally a 1-to-1 perfect match with you, and if you are refusing to partake in this, then you're losing out.
Sure.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah. 100p.
I think that's perfect that Sushi just brought that up. Technology is nice, but it's also bad for the newer gen, because how much of that physical interaction that we've gotten, especially what we had as kids, honestly, my favorite meme, I can't, maybe not my favorite, but one of the top ones is like, bro, people had to run a commercial at 10 o'clock at night for our parents to be like, do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
Because we were outside fucking eating dirt at fucking 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
like we weren't stuck to an iPad. We weren't doing
outside
this kind of shit.
Worms in my nose.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true. We would stay outside as long as our parents would let us.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you'll let us stay outside, we would be
Yep.
out there
Bro, me and my
playing whatever games we had
homies,
to play.
Yep.
me and my
Imaginary
homies
games.
had a whole fucking like a whole group of 10 of us. We did our own just like fucking roller hockey, just kind of like season every fucking year, you know? Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't play against
Yeah.
anybody else. We literally just play 5-on-5 like every weekend. Like, hey, yo, you coming, dog? You coming, dog? We gonna take you down today. Are we doing it at your court? Are we doing it at his court? Like, that was the only decision.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. I part of me really does miss those days. Like I
Fucking
talked
true.
earlier about that buddy of mine that I've reconnected with that I've known since I was 3. I mean, we used to have a couple friends. We'd go outside and we'd all lived in the same kind of area, and we would go outside and we'd look for sticks and we would just go out there and we would imagine shit, bro. We'd pretend they were swords and shit and go out there and fucking swing them around at each other and create adventures and shit. And that shit don't happen these days. It's a damn shame. But I will also say that I think technology does prove to be a very intense risk, especially to the youth of our world these days. If
It's that dependency.
well, yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's big if you don't watch it, if you don't impose limits. Then I mean, like anything, there's balance, right? It's the golden mean. You got to find the beautiful middle line in everything, because too much of anything or too little of anything is probably going to be a bad thing. And I think that we just have a lot of people that are raising kids and using technology as a scapegoat because they don't want to parent, and it's causing issues. And that's not to say that there aren't some issues that technology just poses in itself. Like, anyone can look up anything these days. You don't have to know shit. You just Google it. You got a cell phone and an internet connection. But at the same time, I mean, we've got this whole generation of iPad kids that just sit here and watch the most fucked up shit on YouTube that just gets like pumped into their brains because their parents don't want to watch them. And then suddenly we get those same kids walking up to the fucking bag of Tide Pods and thinking they look yummy. Like, there's a lot of shit going on here that's really rough. And I think that we should step in and maybe put limitations on things like social media and on taking in content and stuff like that, especially with all the misinformation going around. But I think a good chunk of that is probably on the parents too, that need to really sit down and figure out what
Yeah.
they're doing with their kids.
When we were
Some of that.
kids. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead, Custom.
I was just gonna say something I'd seen on the news last week. It's COVID again, and I know it's horrible. There was a group of kids on the news. It was local news. Basically they'd not learned how to speak because of COVID. Like, because they hadn't been in school and the parents were busy. A lot of the parents saying like they had older children who needed more time than them, and the children literally hadn't learned to say a word, and some of them were like 4 or 5, and
That's crazy.
it were mad. And I just think about all these things, and technology is great, and I think some people will learn better from seeing it from who's that woman now that's on YouTube that all the kids love, but everybody
Oh,
loves her, and I
who
think
knows?
she'll help. And like Peppa Pig, obviously all the Americans had British accents for a while, all the children, because they loved Peppa Pig. And I think part of it does help, and I think, but as you say, I think it's having that balance. I think in the context of friendship, or it's the situations are always going to be different, whether you're there or not. I think it's working out, as you say, that balance between actually feeling like you're present, however that may be.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of funny. I was just thinking about this too. It's like it's not. Again, like we're kind of explaining it right now. It's not just the kids who are, gonna be at a disadvantage for all this playtime, all this internet time, because their parents are on fucking scrolling through fucking TikToks for 4 hours straight. Also, so it's like,
Yeah.
somebody, something has to happen. Otherwise, it's just, again, the kids aren't going to know that physical interaction. And how's that
Yeah.
gonna affect just the future in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it is crazy to me that we have a future, or well, I guess a present now, where kids are addicted to iPads and YouTube Kids and shit, and then their parents are too.
Yeah.
It's like the whole household is a slave to it, right? Which
Mhm.
maybe says something about the predatory nature of the internet and of corporations and capitalism doing their best to milk attention and money out of people. But
It's really
Yeah.
weird to think about, especially when like people are coming up with like COVID conspiracies and like, oh yeah, they just want you to sit in your house all day, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, they might be onto something. Like, it's just the government's just pushing us all into houses. Like, don't fucking leave. Just spend money. Like, we don't
yeah,
we don't want to
well,
see
that
you. We just want to see.
yeah. Well, they want
We
you
just
to
want to see your
be
wallet.
dumb. They want you to forget that you're working for, starvation wages. They want you to forget that they're mistreating you, and they want you to start thinking that's the norm, As long as you're happy at home where you can go home and play video games and watch TikToks and do whatever, they don't even have to fucking have any hand in making the video games because people are doing it for them. And video games are not the problem, right? I love video games. I
Mhm.
love TV. I think media is amazing. Storytelling is the core of who we are. But also, when that is so good, even on like YouTube and TikTok and all this different shit, you can effectively forget about all the terrible things that are happening to you in real life, which, you forget about those and suddenly any thoughts of a revolution are gone. And if you're not going to fight back against the things that are wrong with your society, then you're just, you're stuck. You're just going to keep going through it. And I think that's where we're at. I definitely think so.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
it just like every time I think about it, it just blows my mind. Um, I've even uh, I mean, I talked to my dad about this kind of stuff too. Like we've, I don't know why, but every other day we just get in on some kind of conversation about like where society is going, and to put an example, kind of just like how home ownership is going, there's literally a plot going up by my place, literally not far from me at all, and it doesn't say houses for sale, it says houses for rent.
Yep.
Like, so this is like we're literally progressing into the rent age instead of the owning age because
Yep.
but
Yeah.
Well, and it's awful because all these big
Yeah.
corporations are snatching up all the free real estate. I mean, have you seen that? Like, even these big weapons companies are going out, and these real estate companies too. All the people that you would think and a bunch that you wouldn't are just snatching up shit like houses and farmland and finding ways to, use it to sell it out to us to make more money off of it. And it's like, it's sickening, man.
question for all four of us: be kind and rewind. What
I
does
don't know
that
what the
mean?
fuck that means. I don't
wait,
So
know.
wait. You're memeing, right?
I've always known this to be a term of being courteous. So like it comes. I want to say it comes from the VHS era, where whenever you like rent something from like Blockbuster or Hollywood
Wait,
Mm.
Video.
wait. Do you guys not actually know that was Blockbuster? Like that was
Oh, that
literally their
was
line.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
literally their
Oh.
line.
You know what? I feel like I knew that when I was
yeah.
younger, but we've been so fucking far out of the Blockbuster VHS age that I
Bro,
fucking nope, out of my brain. I got
I
I
nothing.
grew up on
actually
Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. I forgot
I
about that
did.
all that
Hollywood
shit,
Video
bro.
was
yeah,
my second home, bro.
Hollywood Video. Yeah,
They
dude, I
had a
actually
thing called
just
Loon
watched.
Crazy
Yeah.
connected to it. Oh my god.
I watched like a US overview of like little dots of like the rise and fall of Blockbuster and you
I
just
seen
see
that.
you just see all the
Yeah.
dots go across the US till it like hits like 4,000 shops and then
Just dwindle down. Just dwindle down. Yeah, man. Yeah. Just be courteous. It's not hard.
Yeah.
True.
It's not hard, man.
It
I'll fuck
really
you up if you
isn't.
aren't. You know what I mean?
What how's this for your thought process? I've already seen Nintendo Wii's in the nursing homes. Wait, really?
Yeah, no, there's crazy amounts of Nintendo Wii's in nursing homes. Yeah, just like they've got the
Interesting.
TVs on all the time because it's like a life hack in a nursing home. if you don't want to keep the residents entertained and they can keep themselves entertained, you wheel them out into the fucking entertainment hall and they just watch the TV. They sit there like
Let them
zombies.
play
It's
bowling and
crazy.
throw their back out.
Yeah, well, a lot of them can't even
Everyone-
fucking get up. It's crazy to watch. Grandpa with a cane in one hand and a Wiimote in the other, and he's trying to bullet strike. Man's throwing his back out.
When the
Crazy.
Wii originally came out, it was a big thing over here, and it actually was put in like a lot of like care homes and things like that, and it actually did improve fitness. Like,
Yeah.
because it allowed like that sort of movement without really moving, because you can bowl while sitting down.
That's the cool
Yeah.
thing I like about the Wii is like it was the first, well, like the Wii, the Kinect kind of hit it, but we all know how clunky that was. But I feel like
The
the Wii
microphone
was the
especially.
first, like, oh my god, dude, going into COD
That
lobby,
shit sucked.
put away your dishes. Like,
Word.
bro, what, I want
Connect
to
mic
hear your
sounded
mom
like
right now.
this all day long. Bro. It sounded
Yeah.
terrible.
But yeah, it's good. I like when they first came out with it. I keep getting emails of I think I mentioned it before to you guys of the 360-degree uh, treadmill
Oh
for
yeah.
VR. Yeah, I subscribed to emails for that. So those, I think those guys are finally coming out of the investment stage and looking to ship a couple. So I'm
That's
kind of
dope.
like, "Mm, time to get some room. Time to imagine."
Oh, that
Time
was
to
the thing. Like
fucking
10 years ago, like Battlefield 3, they were prototyping that. You know,
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
glad to
they've
see
been
that's
working on
actually.
that for a long time.
I think there are
Mhm.
companies that make them, but they've always been so like expensive that they're not necessarily consumer level, which is crazy because I don't understand why something like that would be so hard. Like I feel like you could put something together pretty well. 'Cause, I mean, it's just one of those ones where it's like a little plate that you stand on that is like slippery and it's got sensors in it, right? And then it can tell where you're running, and then it's got like a little belt on your waist. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I feel like that the sensor thing in the plate would be the hardest part. I guess that's probably why. But I've seen that shit like Juice said for literally a decade. I don't know.
Well, I
When it
think
comes out, I kind of
that's.
want one, but I'm too fucking lazy to get up and do that shit either though.
I like the concept too because it's like I know I forget which VR actually like. I mean, most of them you have to set up like some sensors in the back and create like a virtual box for yourself, right? But it's
Yeah, like
like
it's called a
when this,
boundary box.
yeah, but like when this comes out, you just middle of the room, you're not moving, it's not moving, you're just in one stationary place, but you can move freely in VR finally. So it's like there, a lot of VR sets aren't going to need these sensors anymore, especially if they do some kind of package deal with it. But I am digressing so fucking hard. Let's get like one or two questions out of the way, and then, man, I don't know. I like this conversation particularly. Like it's
Yeah.
interesting. I think we can
Now
talk
we need a
about this.
part 3 with fully custom. It's crazy, you
Shit,
know.
it's
It's
gonna be part 4
so
at this
much
point.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now would be a perfect time for Charlotte to give us any final closing thoughts and maybe like one last thing to talk about if there is. I don't know. What are you thinking, Charlotte?
Yeah, I say, whenever we have a conversation with those guys, I learn so much. So I have to thank you first and foremost, because like you guys have such great insights on just things, and you three coming together is essentially my point. Like you guys have come together and you've done something great, and I'm just here listening, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think the main point it's just I think the internet is so big, and the one thing I think I've noticed is how different generations are gonna have this thing with online, and as you say, like about our parents and then us and then the people below us, and that concept of stranger danger, and like I remember being in high school, and we had a lot of assemblies on like basically don't post photos of yourself online.
Yep.
Not any
Yeah.
photos, more inappropriate photos. And
Yeah.
that was the only thing we got. It wasn't like anything like actually helpful. It wasn't like, oh well, if you are gonna talk to people, make sure you're doing this. It was like, just don't post not rude, and then it won't get everywhere. And that was it. Like I think it was very, I guess we could call it sexist. I went to an all girls school. That's probably why. But and it was just all that strange, and the internet was seen as this scary thing. And don't do this. This is all it's useful for. Don't be going on this. Don't be doing this. And I think we've kind of proved just in these conversations, and I would love to have more, how useful the internet is, but not in a useful kind of productive way and like working through site and all that, baloney. But the idea of that friendship is so much more than it used to be. That
Yeah.
that idea of physicality is important, and the idea of not being physical is also important, and it's so much bigger than as you say 20 years ago when nobody had these things.
You
I
said
I think
dare just flash in my head.
Yeah. Now this is a conversation I think we should definitely just continue to over time. We should never stop talking about
Well,
this.
it's always gonna be like, or that, like, if we have this conversation every few months, like there's always gonna be something to talk about, some kind of
Yeah.
new weird social dynamic that's going on. Like this is
Fortnite dances, yeah.
yeah, definitely something we can touch on periodically. So, custom, if you're up for it, like we can definitely make this a regular thing. I love this.
Yeah, same.
I think it'd
I
be
would
really fun
love that.
to do an episode of this in like a VR chat private lobby.
Yeah, we
Just
still
to kind
need
of
to.
nail to nail it home, yeah.
Ooh, I'm low-key down. I mean, I can make some room, but I can get the sensors up. I can.
Yeah, dude, I think it'd be sick. I've got my Quest
I can
2.
make
I'm
some
looking
shit
for an
happen.
excuse to buy a Quest 3.
Fact.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Custom, thank you so much. As always, you're amazing. All the information that you gather, appreciate it.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Did-
I'm you guys. It is my honor to be here, and that's serious. Like I love it. Nobody else listens to my ramblings. It's nice to have somebody.
No,
We're listening.
it's amazing. I love what you're doing. I can't. So when do you have to like put all this together officially?
I am officially putting it together now.
Oh, okay.
So it's all big. I'm doing transcripts. I'm doing note taking. I've got my pens out, my highlighters. We're gonna be learning a lot over the period of time. But yeah. So I should be finished not this summer but next summer is my final submission date.
Nice.
So it's a long time till then. So we can talk about it until
So we
then.
could talk about more. Let's
Yeah,
go.
we can refine it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Very nice. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
All right.
Once
Well,
I'm done, you guys have got to refer to me as Dr. Nichols though. I think
yeah,
it'd
we
be
do.
Yeah.
Dr. Custom.
What's up, Doc?
What up?
I'm thinking about The Simpsons right now.
Yeah.
There's like,
Oh,
hi
yeah.
everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. Simpsons at this point.
Oh man, Charlotte's gonna be a doctor. That's huge. That's huge.
Oh, I know. My mum, we always make a joke about it because my brother's doing a PhD as well at the same time.
Oh shit.
Oh, I know. We live in a really serious household. He's doing it about video games. I'm doing it about this. We're
Fuck
gonna learn a
yeah.
lot.
Perfect.
But we always have this joke about like obviously we live quite in like a working class area, and we're like we're gonna be the only doctors that are in this area apart from actual medical doctors.
Hey, that's something to brag about, though. For
Respect that.
sure.
Gotta respect that. Hell
But anyways, love it. Fully custom, everybody. If you haven't spoken to her already, I'm sure she'll be reaching out to some of you. If you guys want to give your 2 cents on your own online gaming experience, I'm sure she would absolutely love that.
The more the merrier. Especially any ladies that are listening. I'd love to hear more thoughts from you guys. I'm not disregarding the men in the room, but I need to
No,
even out the score
we
a
don't
little
feel that
Yeah,
bit.
way.
need a little balance there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't help that at all either, considering we've got a fucking sausage party of a cast on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to hear what else comes out, what else you find. I think the VR thing is a good idea. We should definitely look into that. If not next one, the one after for sure. Um, but yeah, let's start rolling out. I know Custom, you got your own. She has her own website. She's everywhere. She does everything, guys. Go check it out. Post
Crazy.
it.
Fuck yeah.
Uh,
Fuck yeah, custom.
wrote that in for you. Feel free to check out her awesome portfolio if you guys have time. She does graphic work and stuff. Do you still do video work as well?
Yeah. Anything that anybody wants, I'm willing to give a go. So if you need help with branding, absolutely anything, I'm your girl.
Love it.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'll go next, I guess. Get myself out of the way. This is me and Chad. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle. I do the streaming thing sometimes. I'm a VTuber. I'm the best streamer you've never watched, and I will be live right after this doing some real DGen shit. So maybe I'll see you. If not,
Yo, dude.
thanks for being here.
Fucking love that.
Mikey?
Yeah, I'm Mikey. I don't have my link at all right now. Because I'm always but yeah, you know, I might be able to get it. Hold on, I might be able to grab it real quick. Actually, I think I might be okay. Yeah, I am okay. Cool.
I
So,
got your entry.
oh, you got it. Nice,
I got it.
my guy. Go ahead, you go ahead and drop it in there. Juice Wayne on most things. Kung Fu Mikey, Kung Fu underscore Mikey on Instagram. It's the same username I've had since Instagram started, so I refuse to change it. I'm gonna stay Kung Fu Mikey.
Don't
forever.
ever fucking change that, dude.
Never
Don't ever
change
do
it,
it.
bro. Never change
Huh.
that. But yeah, I don't stream as much as I used to. But when I do stream, it's always something that involves violence. So if you like guns, then come hang out. Come hang out with me. You know, I like guns.
Yeah, I'm
virtual
seeing some
guns.
VODs here from 4 years ago, and the next one is 3 months ago. What the fuck is going on? Brother? I think those numbers are
What are you
weak.
doing, Mikey? What are you doing?
Man's doing Black Ops 4 and then Grand Theft Auto 5. Jesus, were you streaming when Black Ops 4
Okay.
was the main Call of Duty game? What is going on
Yeah,
here?
exactly. So there was that.
Christ,
and then
brother, we gotta
there
get
was
those numbers
GTA
up.
roleplay, bro. The GTA roleplay and Black Ops 4 and the Blackout play that was.
You gotta teach me
so
how to
my
do
life,
some
man.
GTA roleplay. I think we should do some collab shit soon. I think that'd be
Dude,
fun.
that would be so
GTA 6 is being
fun.
announced next week, by the
Yep,
way.
I know.
And
this week.
Rockstar acquired 5M, which was the company
Yep.
that
2
did
days we get the
custom
trailer.
service role playing. So
Yeah.
who knows what role play is gonna look like in GTA 6? But I'm
I think
excited.
you're gonna have to teach me.
huge.
I'll have to go under your
We
wing.
gotta do it. Role playing is so fun if you've never
Dude,
done it
yeah.
before. It's so fun.
It's an experience.
Yeah,
For sure.
Fuck
At
yeah.
least once in your life you got to do it.
got to.
Of course, as always, your lovely host J Dog, J-Dogging everywhere. Just actually can't think of anywhere where I'm not this tag right now, which is why
True.
I'm so hard on my head to not change it because God forbid somebody takes it. Of course, if you haven't joined the Discord, do so. We keep on updates. Well, definitely not through the month of November. That was no updates were then. I'll tell you that much.
I had a birthday that just took up the whole month. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I was slacking on that one, but we'll definitely keep it more updated. We'll do in 2024. I think we're definitely going to start solidifying some more things. I want to do a lot more regular side quests, get some more YouTube content out there for you guys. So hopefully 2024 is gonna be a big kick up, and I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see where this goes. I can't thank you all enough for just popping in, showing support, just being in chat, being yourselves. It's I think from all three of us, I can say thank you. You guys have been amazing, and I can't
Hell
wait to
yeah.
close out the year with the next episode.
Hell yeah, boy.
Brother.
So,
Love it.
without further ado, this has been XP Share, episode 14, fully custom, amazing. We will catch you guys next episode. Deuces.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.